Alright, so got the air conditioning going. Unfortunately, that's just one of the things that I have to put up with. I got a rickety slat door separating my room from the rest of the basement, so just gonna have to ask you to bear with me if you get any noise coming in from the background. Yeah, I think I got a nick when I. Yeah, it's a nick from when I was shaving this morning, so yeah, I do apologize for that. So, gonna go ahead and start the stream in about a minute. Right now, I'm just getting stuff set up, so yeah, I'm not gonna make this stream too long. But we are starting on time, so gonna go ahead and yeah, get ready. It's the Wilk Report. I'm Michael Wilk, coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio, with some news on the Batman movie coming out in 2021. We've got some new pics of the new Batmobile, and it's actually looking pretty impressive in a way that is not all that different as you might think. So yeah, here I am. I do apologize for the noise in the background. The air conditioner for the house is right outside my bedroom door, and unfortunately I just have no way of filtering out the noise right now. So, hopefully we'll get some blackout curtains with my next paycheck, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I wanted to go ahead and discuss some of this because we are basically yeah, let's see. Is this even streaming? I hope so. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm not even sure if this is really working because yeah. Uh, let's see if we can. Okay, so yeah. All right, so yeah, they're getting buffering right now. And of course, yeah, now my stream is yeah, rather poor, but yeah, so yeah, I do apologize. I just do not have good Wi-Fi in this place, but we'll see what happens. Uh, yeah, very interesting because yeah, we've got some new pics of the Batmobile. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the first article here, and let's see if we can call up the browser. Ah, yeah, here it is. From autoweek.com. Yes, I do actually browse stuff like this. What can I say? I'm a guy. But yeah, so yeah, the new Batmobile gets teased again on Twitter, and this is from June 4th. But this is our best look yet at director Matt Reeves' new Bat Transportation, and it's actually pretty interesting because it's kind of designed like a muscle car that's been souped up, and I'm getting vibes from a source that you might not think would be uh, would be possible. So let me go ahead and read a little bit from the article here. The Batman is scheduled to be released in theaters October 21st with Robert Pattinson playing the Caped Crusader. Like Joker, the film is expected to bring a darker take on its title character, in this case, focusing more on the detective aspect of Bruce Wayne's alter ego. Today we got our first full look at Batman's new ride. We got our first half look at the car back in March, but these photos, shared by Reeves on Twitter, gave us almost every angle. Sure, the photos are of a model of the new Batmobile, but the sharing by Reeves is a good indicator that this is what it will look like. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the Twitter. Let's see if the picture loads at all. Oh, come on, you bastard. Do not make me... Alright, here it is. And while this loads, I'll go ahead and show you my smiling mug. I don't want you looking at something that's all pixelated here, but yeah, okay, so here it is. It's finally come up. Yeah, so this is the new Batmobile. You can see it's a model of the original, but it's pretty close to what is going to be up on the screen. We got a teaser back in March, but this is the first, real look at it. So this is the thing from the front. It's kind of like someone took a muscle car, like maybe an old Dodge vintage model, and souped it up. Here's from the front. So you got the headlights, and there's some kind of like LED or possibly some kind of grill light or something. But so you can see where the radiator should be. The orange lights coming through. And then from the top, again, there are lights coming through. The engine hood looks interesting. It looks like there's some kind of like vent that will probably be shown. I don't know if that'll have gun ports or if it'll have like something to shoot gas or something. So yeah, that looks interesting. And then of course we've got the third photo from the back, and you can see you've got the image. Of course there's the rear end lights, but then you've got the jet engine, for really fast propulsion, and of course the tires are monsters. But yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. Is that we're... Yeah. I mean, it looks good. I'm not going to lie, it looks good. But it actually has something in common with a vehicle that you might not think it would. And so I'm going to go ahead and show the browser right here. It's, the Adam West 1960s Batmobile. Now, it's similar only in this respect, is that it takes what was obviously a real-world car and soups it up into a Bat version. And that's the only real similarity. I mean, obviously, they've got two very different looks, two very different aesthetics. The other one is kind of like techno steampunk or something, I don't know, or techno art deco style. And obviously, the 1960s is very much a product of its time. But yeah, I mean, they're kind of based on real vehicles that have been souped up to have a Bat design. I mean, I think it looks good. I mean, if you really think about it, if you're Batman and you're trying to make it an actual Batmobile, you're going to want to make something that probably would not get quite so much attention, from bad guys. I mean, obviously it'll get a certain level of attention when he drives in with it and rides into battle, but you want something that's not going to take up like an entire city street. I mean, case in point from here, and this is a look at the 1989 Batman, and it's very much a product of its time, but also very much like a one large rocket launcher, because you can see from the front it's got this thing that it looks like a rocket that it can be fired out from the front, and very sleek Art Deco-y kind of look, fitting in with Tim Burton's aesthetic that he wanted for the film. He wanted everything like Gothic and Art Deco looking, kind of a hallmark back to the 1930s and 40s when Batman first appeared, but very different style, but not very realistic looking to the real world. I mean, you can't really tell that this was... I mean, you look at something like this and you think, Okay, so who could actually produce something like this? It's got to be someone with serious resources. Whereas the other one, you're looking at something that would have been done in a private shop and all decked out, but not necessarily developed at Wayne Enterprises. So then we've got the abominable 1997 version from the Joel Schumacher era, which just looked awful. I mean, obviously it was more vehicular than the 1989 version, but still very awful. And of course, the Christopher Nolan era Batmobile was just a rolling tank that had been repurposed. Uh, and obviously, again, someone who's got tech like this, not hard to figure out who Batman would be, because obviously he can't really go ahead and hide this, and make it look like something that would have been built in a personal shop instead of at some high tech corporation. So, but yeah, I mean, this looks good though. I mean, let me just call up the the picture again from Twitter. I mean, it looks good. I mean, check out the. I mean, it's got plenty of angulars. I mean, it's like very. I don't want to call it sleek, but yeah, I mean, it looks like a really souped up Dodge Charger that someone could have done, in a private garage somewhere instead of at Wayne Enterprises. So, I mean, if you're looking at Batman early days, this would be very interesting. I mean, it's just it looks good. I'm impressed. I really am. I mean, just check out some of the detail. And this is just the model version. We've only really seen the version with Robert Pattinson standing next to it. Obviously, of course, you've got the set of him, and he's in this darkened alley or something with the headlights on, but it doesn't have any of the other lights on it, like the front lights are not activated. But in this one, obviously, you've got it. It's all lit up. And it looks very much from the back. Yeah, I mean, someone really did a number. So yeah, the center bottom, you can see where the flames will come out to propel it at super high speeds. You've got the exhaust pipes. You got the brake lights, obviously, and then there's the lights on the back. But yeah, I mean, this looks good. I mean, and again, a picture of the front, and again from the top. But I have to wonder. It's like, what is under this vent-looking thing? I mean, it looks like some giant air conditioner. Like maybe, I mean, he's got to be hiding something under there. I mean, this is a Batmobile. It would probably have some kind of weaponry or something. And what would the dashboard look like? I mean, this is just phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, this is just incredible workmanship. So, yeah, oh dear, stream is finished. I'm offline. Okay, well, let's go ahead and, no, maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, YouTube Studio is being a dildo for some reason. Might have lost my connection. But yeah, I'm still trying to stream. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure this out. I've got my cruddy desktop, and supposedly there's, as of today, there's faster Wi-Fi, but I don't think we've really got it because I'm still cutting in and out. But yeah, this is incredible. Yeah, I mean, just looking at this thing, I'm really impressed. Let's go ahead and read some more from the article. All right, so the Batman is scheduled to be released in theaters October 21, with Robert Pattinson playing the Cape Crusader, and of course, obviously, he's in the news saying, "Oh, I'm not going to work out for this. I'm not going to be super ripped." Fine, but Yeah. And we got our first half look at the car back in March, but these photos shared by Reeves on Twitter give us almost every angle. Sure, the photos are of a model of the new Batmobile, but the sharing by Reeves is a good indicator that this is what it will look like. We still can't quite tell what car exactly the new Batmobile is based on, so we're going to stick with our guess of Dodge Challenger or Plymouth Barracuda. The front end looks mean with narrow headlights, while the Bat-inspired parts come at the rear with flared-out fins attached to a tubular frame. We can see the turbine in back as well, along with the engine ahead of that. Regardless, we're glad that the Batmobile is going back to a car-like form after several tank-like machines in the Dark Knight trilogy, the best 3 movies in the last 20 years, and the Justice League era, not so good in my opinion. We still have a long time to speculate, so settle in, and if you have time to kill, check out the super informative Warner Brothers Batmobile documentary here. I'm not going to go ahead and check that out because I don't want to bore you, and I don't want to drain my lights, but this looks good. I'm drooling over this. Like, seriously. I mean, this is actually something I get a kick out of, because unfortunately I learned today that a friend of mine passed this morning, so kind of mourning over that, and I figured I could either go to bed miserable or at least try and do something that will help take my mind off it. So yeah, if you don't see me online for a few days, that's why, because I'm busy trying to process this. I know the guy for 20 years, and yeah, he just, yeah, the last couple years he was alive, he just kind of like dropped off the radar from everyone. I think because he was diagnosed with COPD about a year ago, from what I understand, and was struggling to, I guess, pay the doctor bills, or maybe he just gave up on life. I don't know, but it just really. It really hurts, because I really wanted to reconnect with him, because I hadn't seen him in years, and and I first met him through my mentor, who passed away about 5 years ago, who got me into film and being a film buff, on the level that I am. I mean, of course, I grew up, watching Big Chuck and Little John and Superhost, which were 2 local shows that broadcast movies like Hammer Horror and Toho Monster Movies and Universal Pictures and RKO and stuff like that. And so that was how I spent my Friday nights and Saturday afternoons, was watching those old movies, and that kind of informed my love of cinema. But then I went to high school and met Mr. Massaro, who was a semi-retired at the time. He was an English teacher, but by that time I met him, he was being a substitute teacher, and so what he would often do was bring in old movies on his projector and play them back for us. And that's actually, I think, how I saw the animated version of Animal Farm, which is a spectacular film. If you can track it down, more power to you. The ending of it is a little bit more uplifting, I think, than what you would normally see. So I happen to like it a great deal. And then, of course, we saw Roots in class, where the miniseries, and this was on 16 millimeter. All of it was on 16 millimeter. And later on, after I got out of high school, and I started working at Blockbuster Video in the mid '90s, up until about 2001. Yeah, so almost about 5 years. I reconnected with Mr. Massaro, and he invited me in 2000 to his film group that I pretty much stayed with for about 13 years after that. It was this whole thing where we got together on usually the second Saturday of the month and watched movies on 16 millimeter, sometimes 35 millimeter, old prints that he had in his collection, or sometimes someone would be passing, because he knew a local film collector and seller who was constantly ripping him off, unfortunately, and just because he was trying to sell off parts of his collection to bring in extra money because he wasn't really watching them anymore. But we would get together and watch these one last time before they got sold off. And sometimes, as his buyer got in other stuff, he would go ahead and lend him these so we could view them before they got passed off to their new owners. So we did that for about 13 years before I ended up leaving the group for personal reasons. But then he died a couple years later, so that was about 2015. And the film watching group kind of fell apart after that and drifted apart, which was very unfortunate because we all shared a love of cinema. And Lyle, who was my friend who passed away today, just I think according to a mutual friend of ours, who was very close to him in his final years, he kind of like given up on life, and because you reach a certain age, and everyone you know and love has either already died or gone out of your life, moved on basically, and which happens, and we lose touch with people, and so I guess he kind of like just started shutting himself up because I think maybe he kind of sensed that he didn't have all that much longer left to live. I mean, COPD is no joke. I mean, once Leonard Nimoy announced that he had it, it wasn't long before he passed. So, yeah, I mean, if you smoke, quit now. If you work like I do, with grills in a kitchen setting, the smoke from those grills can also give you COPD because you're breathing in all that stuff. So, I spent over half my life breathing in the secondhand cigarette smoke from my parents, which is arguably more lethal than when you actually smoke it. So, I fully expect to maybe develop it later on in my life. So yeah, it's definitely no joke. So if you know someone who has it, hug that person tight, and for however long that person's left alive. So, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to share this with you because the Matt Reeves Batman looks like it's going to be pretty controversial, just because Robert Pattinson, Captain Sparkleface, was cast, and it's like when I first reported on that, I was like, Warner Brothers hates us because you're casting Captain Sparkleface, and I don't care what you say about his acting skills since he left the Twilight series. He was awful in that, okay? And you could tell he was just phoning it in, and it's like, why would you go ahead and do that? I don't care, who you are or where you are in your career if you're an actor. If you're going to show up and do a film, why not just throw everything into it? Who cares if you don't like it? Well, if you don't like it, why didn't you take the project? Okay, you got to pay the bills, but, still, there are people who are fortunate enough to get some early roles that make it so that they can be choosy. Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson were lucky enough, with their film careers that, that they landed the Harry Potter series early on when they were still children. Daniel Radcliffe, kept most of his profits from those films, and that has allowed him the freedom to really be picky about which movies he decides to do, because really you're just giving your all to a project that you really have passion for. And so, someone like Pattinson, who had to cut his teeth with Twilight, and that's what gave him his big career launch, because before then he probably didn't have all that much going for him because he was still a relative newbie. but he's at the point in his career where he's trying to play the Batman, but early photos don't look good. I mean, he won't shave his sideburns, and he won't work out. So, which to me, it's not necessarily an issue if Batman doesn't look like he's all beefed up on steroids or something, because I would think that a Batman who is more of a detective than he is a fighter. I mean, doesn't mean he doesn't know how to fight, but he's going to be more focused on the detective aspect and use his martial arts skills in a defensive measure. So yeah, I mean this whole thing is just. I mean, my God, I mean, it's just beautiful here. I mean, just look at all of that. I mean, yeah, the headlights there, obviously, that's lit up, and then you've got these little lit up. I'm kind of wondering what these are. I mean, it's just, it looks good. You've got some kind of, I don't know what this is on the side. Who knows? We'll probably find out, but I don't know if you can tell here, but there's a little model of Batman behind the wheel of the Batmobile. But yeah, I mean, just look at all this stuff. You got the headlights here. You've got the lit up grill. The bumper looks nice and solid. I mean, it looks like he could really ram through a wall and the wall would lose. Check this out. I really wonder what this is on the front here. This is, I mean, it's just for cooling or what? I don't know. Or maybe it houses weapons. But yeah, check out the turbine. I'm just drooling over this, but yeah, I mean, just kind of compare this to previous Batmobiles. I mean, yeah, you can say that the original 1960s Batmobile looked. I mean, it definitely looks like a product of its time. I mean, today it would look rather silly, but it's still recognizably a car. Whereas, even the 1989 Batmobile looks more like a rocket on wheels. And of course, this one looks awful. And this, of course, was just a rolling tank without treads. But this looks good. Yeah, it looks really good. So yeah, I'm definitely liking what I see here. Yeah, that looks good. I'm actually, even if the movie turns out to be awful, I still want the car. I do. That is just a really good looking machine, and if it's based on a Dodge Charger or a Plymouth Barracuda, that's been souped up and added onto. I mean, that would just be great. I mean, just really taking a muscle car and turning it into a Batmobile. That would be awesome if that's what this is. I mean, it looks good. I mean, what can I tell you? But anyway, yeah, I gotta get going in a few minutes because I gotta get up early in the morning and go run some errands, and also try and get in touch with my my one friend about getting some, because when I left my parents' house in 2011, because I moved back in 2003, and was kind of forced out by my psycho younger brother in 2011, because he wanted to move back in, didn't want to share space, so he bullied my invalid father along with my mother. They teamed up to browbeat him into signing the house over to my brother David so he could have me evicted, and unfortunately I was not able to protect my dad, and so that when I moved out, I left some of my items with Lyle, and my friend Christine, who was also friends with him, is going to see if she can help me get some of those back. But it seems Lyle had a Doctor Who themed item for me, because I guess he wanted to get back in touch with me, which I didn't know, but I guess he didn't have my phone number. But it's actually the same one I had that I gave him back in 2015. I think it's just one of those things where we were both in different places in our lives. I mean, I've been going through housing instability since 2011, and moving from place to place. So every time I think I've gotten settled somewhere, I find myself disrupted and forced to move again by circumstances. One of these days, I'll go ahead and do a tell-all and kind of explain some of the shit I've been through over the last uh, 10 years, 10, 12 years. And yeah, but yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So, but yeah, let me know what you think of this. I personally, I like the design. It's great. Even if the movie ends up being shit, and I'm kind of on the fence as to whether or not it will be. We haven't really seen much, just the publicity that's been released by Warner Brothers, and obviously Robert Pattinson would not have done that photo set for, I think it was GQ, where he was showing off how not in shape he is and saying, "Oh, I don't believe in working out for this." Obviously Warner Brothers would not have let him do that if they didn't want him to, because I'm guessing that they're on board with the look because Reeves explained it to them, and there's probably a very good reason why he's going for this particular aesthetic and why he made the casting decision he did. So, if you think that Warner Brothers isn't fully on board with this, think again. And who knows, they might surprise us. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm going to turn off the stream now, keep recording a little bit because there is some stuff that I want to kind of go into that, would just be a little bit extra. So for those of you who may or may not have tuned into the live stream, cutting in and out, this is Michael Wilk for the Wilk Report saying take care, good night, I'm out. And now we're recording. And now I'm looking at some stuff on... Because I'm looking to get some speakers now for my computer. I've got some pretty good headphones, but I don't want to have to keep relying on those because I use that mainly to listen to stuff and to filter out sound. And I'll probably still use them for my podcast, because I am going to slowly but surely try and transform this tiny little room into a something that doubles as both a studio and bedroom. But I also want to get some stuff that's going to go ahead and allow me to use a speaker. So let's go ahead and check out some of the stuff here. So I don't want to go overboard with stuff. I went ahead and I've been trying to save up for a laptop to replace my computer eventually, because even though it's been repaired, it's really it's really not all that great as far, because the power unit is going on me. It doesn't have the wattage anymore to support all this stuff. But I'm gonna try and replace. Oh, for crying out loud! All right, looks like I'm having a little bit of trouble with my connection. So let's go ahead and see if I can do that. Let me see if I can go back to studio here. Something's going wrong. Alright, well, looks like my Wi-Fi connection is shit again. Alright, so let's go ahead and see if we can reload the tab here. Alright, so yeah, let's kind of look at this. Yeah, it says only $49.99. Free shipping on orders over $29. Yeah, I might decide to splurge on this with my next paycheck. I could get it now, but I kind of don't want to. Or I might. I don't know. I mean, this looks pretty good, but it looks like it would take up a lot of space here because, I mean, just look at this. Let's see if we can look at some of the less expensive ones because I don't really need a subwoofer. Let's see, USB stereo speakers. Oh, it's only $15. So I am looking for something I don't have to plug in. Alright, dimensions, satellite speakers, height, width, depth, okay, USB power cable. Alright, so yeah, I could use this. Yeah, because I've also got a USB hub that I ordered, and that should be here within a week or two. I'm hoping in another week. But yeah, that's, yeah, these are looking, yeah. What the hell, I'll probably get these. Why not? It's only $15. Yeah, what the hell. But yeah, because I don't really need anything all that fancy. Just something that I can use for speakers, so I don't have to keep wearing headphones because it messes up my hair. And I like to watch movies online, but at the same time, I don't have much space on my desktop because I've got the printer right next to it, and that's kind of preventing me from really making full use of my desk. So I'll probably get a printer table or something that way I can just put it underneath here. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to do. But let me go ahead and show you my fundraiser because I want to go ahead and implore you to donate to my GoFundMe because I am trying to raise money because it's one of those things where yeah, and I'm actually trying to save up and get an MSI Creator 17, which is actually something that would be pretty awesome if I can go ahead and get something that has the specs that I need. Because if I'm going to go ahead and do any real work with that thing, I'm going to need something that's going to need to last me at least a decade. And for that, I need it to have power up the ass. Because as anyone who works with computers know, I mean, you get a new computer and it works great the first year or two, but the processing power starts to degrade over time, just because the circuitry and stuff degrades over time. I mean, people don't realize silicon circuits and USBs and flash drives, they don't last nearly as long over time as, say, celluloid under optimal archive conditions. That's why a lot of filmmakers will still preserve their films even if they're shot on digital. They'll still have a film reel in the archives just because it preserves better. Because look at what happened to the Coen brothers when they went ahead to go ahead and do a remastering of Oh Brother Where Art Thou, they discovered that the software that they were using was incompatible with the format that they used to save the files on. And so they had to track down someone who actually had the software. Uh, and that just, yeah, I mean, that just ended up costing them a lot more time and money than they really wanted to spend just to do the remaster from the footage that they had. So, yeah, I mean, if you think celluloid is gone forever, think again. I mean, you've still got people who love to shoot on film. I know if I get my screenplay finished and manage to make a bona fide film, even if it's a short piece, I want to shoot it on celluloid just because I like the look and feel. I can transfer it to a digital format, but I am someone who's going to want to do that just because I love the medium. It doesn't mean I won't shoot on digital, but if I'm going to shoot on digital, I'm going to want to go with top of the line, like maybe an Arri Alexa. Who knows? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off the recording now because it is getting late and I do need to get to bed. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to share. I just wanted to give you a look at the new Batman movie and the Batmobile, because it does look good. I like it. I like it a lot. So yeah, I'll probably upload this video to my Patreon with a private link, and you can go ahead and shell out money to watch the extended version that you didn't see on live. So yeah, this is Michael Wilk for the Wilk Report. Once again saying take care, good night, I'm out.